What is going on, Colorado sports fans? Welcome into another episode of Colorado Sports Connection. I'm your host today, Baylor Braddock, joined by Alex Berger as we kick off the first ever Club and Country, a CSC soccer podcast. This is new to the team, Alex Berger. Alex, I want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about your sports background real quick.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, I'm a big sports fan, grew up playing soccer, so I'm super excited to be on the show talking about soccer here at the local level. And so grew up playing soccer. I've reffed the game, so I know quite a bit about the rules. And I coach it now. So my biggest bring to this show is going to be kind of breaking down some stuff and analyzing a lot of what's going on with our teams here. And I'm super stoked about that. I also love most of our other Colorado teams. Baylor and I, we go to games all the time. We're season ticket members for the Rapids. So we go to all of those. Love the Avs, love the Broncos, love the Nuggets, all on that train right now. So good to be here. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, we're glad to have you. Just where do you coach? Where do you coach level wise?
I am a coach with the Colorado Rapids youth program. So I am at the competitive level at the younger ages, 10-year-olds, early stages. So, transitioning them from rec to competitive and getting them, really thinking about the game in ways that they haven't thought about it before.
Yeah, so just kind of you're teaching these kids how to think about the game more as an adult and less of that kid mentality and kind of breaking down the structure of a game on a more serious level.
Yes, less kickball, more tactics.
Yeah, I love that, and that's kind of why I'm excited to do this show with you, because watching soccer with you has always been really fun for me, because you bring a very analytical and coaching mindset with it. The way you can watch formations and plays develop and know where things broke down without actually, being in that huddle, knowing what was supposed to happen is really nice as a fan. And hopefully you can share that wisdom with some friends here at Colorado Sports Connection.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that, especially on this video format. I'm going to be able to show some clips to y'all. I'm used to doing sports podcasts in the audio format only. Now we've got video, so we're going to have some videos of some games, and we're going to look at some clips here. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Excellent. So you want to start off on our first topic of the day?
So, in case you haven't heard, we have the Colorado Bucks, the latest addition to the MLIS, which is the Major League Indoor Soccer. It's in its second year of existing, this league. It rivals. There's another big kind of arena soccer league, very similar rules, very similar format. That's been going on. I mean, the history of indoor soccer in America is crazy. Like once I heard about the Bucks, I went all in on indoor soccer. I will coach with my boys indoor soccer during the off season, and I had no idea that there was this crazy level of indoor soccer, super popular in the Midwest, and now Colorado has a team. And dude, let me just say, like this game that we went to was so electric. We went to this home opener against the Omaha Kings, and it was just so much fun. We were on our feet just about the whole time. Unbelievably great time, electric atmosphere, goals left and right. So if soccer really isn't your thing, if you're kind of struggling with getting into the classic format of the game, that big 11v11, dude, this indoor soccer stuff is definitely for you. Really fast paced. It's like soccer meets hockey. Punch them together, and you've got some really exciting stuff on your hands. So, yeah, that's the Colorado Bucks. And I mean, what were your thoughts of the game?
Yeah, so I want to start out with the entering atmosphere. So for starters, we walked in and we showed up an hour before kickoff, and it was about, I don't know, 15 minutes before they said doors opened.
Mm-hmm.
And walking in, we just kind of wanted to get a feel of the place. And we didn't have tickets because they shut down online ticket sales because of how popular it was at first and how limited space they actually have for seating right now. So we decided to show up early to make sure we could get our tickets to get in. And when we rolled up, you walk in, it's kind of a little little bit of a smaller complex than what you'd expecting to go see a professional soccer event at. On one side you've got the indoor turf field with the boards up, and on the other side you've got amateur roller hockey rolling in and out. You've got people carrying their hockey bags in at the same time as we're watching both professional teams walk in uniform with all of their gear and head to their locker rooms. And I was a little skeptical. I was a little like, oh boy, what are we going to actually get here? And the beauty of sports at any level is the venue doesn't matter. It's the product. And as soon as that game started, I was side-eyeing Alex. I was like, this is pretty sick. Like, that was as a huge soccer fan, I played soccer with Alex in high school. I've played my whole life. Like he said, I'm a Rapid season ticket member, and I never even heard of indoor soccer with boards. I played indoor soccer in like a gym with bigger goals and nets and stuff, but I'd never heard of on a turf field with hockey boards up. And it took all of 5 minutes to watch somebody get hip checked down into the boards in the corner. And I was like, what sport is this again? And then, when you get your first blue card coming out, and I'm like, what, there's a blue card. And then the dude goes to the box and they go on a power play. I'm like, excuse me. This is not what I was expecting from this sport. And electric is absolutely the best word that I heard you say to describe it. Um, I could tell there was a little bit of unease in the air previous to the game starting. It was kind of just quiet chatter, people a little excited but not sure what to expect. Player intros weren't the most rowdy, but man, as soon as that game started, people were hooked, and you could tell.
Yeah. The really fun thing about that small venue is that, that space is limited, right? But that gives you the better access to these players. Like we
We were
could
right
turn,
there.
yeah, we could turn around in our seats and like there they were, that they're coming out of the locker rooms. And most of these people that are out here are the families of the players. So they're coming over and they're saying hi to their family. And we're like right there. And you're like, dude, that's a professional athlete right
And we're
there.
also sitting here like talking about making comments on certain plays, like, oh, that goalie had no business going out for that ball. Turns out we're sitting right next to the goalie's like brother or friend or something, and we're like,
Yeah.
maybe watch what we're saying.
Yeah, yeah, no, and it's just really cool. It's a very intimate atmosphere. So many, dedicated fans for these players. So it definitely got rowdy, and you could see, even the families from the other team, traveling out. We played the Omaha Kings, who won the league last year, inaugural season. The Omaha Kings absolutely dominated. Led the stats in just about every single category, and then, went on to win the finals. So defending champs coming in and playing in the league opener, the season 2 opener here in Colorado was just, honestly an honor to host and to have that as that opening game. And you could see how talented those guys were. I mean, they had a dedicated fan base with them, unbelievable talent, great coaching, great discipline. We struggled at the opening. I mean, we went down like, was it 5-0 right
Yeah,
off
it
the
was
bat?
like 4 or 5. I mean, it was 6-2 at halftime.
Yeah. So that was the thing. It was like, especially with those skeptical fans, like they were sitting there thinking like, oh, what am I to expect? And then like, oh, we're getting crushed
We're
right
getting
now.
throttled.
Like,
Well, I had no idea who this team we were playing was because I didn't do as much research as you. And when you asked me for a score prediction, and I'm like, dude, I have no idea. I'm gonna go with all I knew was these were the champions from last year, and I was like, I'm gonna go with like 10-6 or something like that for um Omaha. And you kind of raised your eyebrows at me, and you're like, I'm gonna go with 10-0 Omaha because these guys absolutely obliterated everyone they played. And after the game, we actually spoke with one of the owners, and um, she said that their star Lyra um, couldn't help but give praise to how well Colorado played, and how even down such a huge margin to start the game, they didn't at any point give up. They kept fighting and they clawed their way in, and going into the fourth quarter, it was like 8-7, I believe. It was a one goal game going into the fourth quarter after a massive third quarter comeback. and you could see it. You could see them start to find their feet, and you could hear the crowd starting to get excited. And man, when that goal was scored to put us within one, man, that place erupted.
Yeah, it was so awesome to see. And like I said, like, starting out kind of skeptical, kind of like, oh man, we're losing. Like this is not great. And like the energy died a little bit. But then as they started to figure it out and get that momentum rolling, and then yeah, got it close.
And the first
Really
like
cool.
2 or 3 goals that the Bucks scored were absolutely nuts. Like
Yeah.
goals where I was like, was that intentional or was that a complete fluke? Like it was so I think after the first one, I was like, dude, that is so lucky. And then the next one scored, and it was like some like behind the back, like bike without jumping into the air type thing that went in. And I was like, the awareness to even put that close to the net, let alone top corner, like floored me. And I was like, okay, not only is this Omaha team talented, because you could see right off the kick that Omaha team has some incredible skill. And it was cool to see those Colorado players start to match that level and that intensity as the game went on.
Yeah, so tactically, the Kings were really impressive. They know how indoor soccer works, and it was clear that the Bucks are kind of new to this. And they even said that in the program that was given to us. The Bucks are new to, like, they know soccer, but indoor soccer is kind of new to them, and so they're starting to get used to what this environment feels like, how the walls work, how to use the walls. There was one play that we pointed out. The walls go around the stadium for the most part, but then there's the benches, right? In between the benches, though, was that little stand. It was like where the referees were hanging out. It was a box like this big, a little window pane sitting there. And one of the players, I think, was it ours or was it them that
No,
hit?
it was a Omaha player.
Yeah, an Omaha player launched this ball off of this tiny little square on the wall and sent it forward. We want to say that it was accidental, but honestly, I'm pretty sure like that was intentional. Like they know how this arena works. They know how to use the walls. So really fun to see. And I do have some of the clips. So that one that you're talking about with that bike, we'll pull that one up in a second because it is worth the watch. Matt, here with any players catch your eye or stand out? Baylor, what do you have?
His last name is he's number 11. Last name is Tomas. I don't remember his first name.
First name
Oh,
Tomas.
first name Tomas.
Yeah, first name Tomas. Last name, I'll get it for Tapia.
Was he the first goal scorer?
I believe so. He scored 2 goals during that game.
We
And he got an
identified
assist.
him pretty early in the game. He had a good opportunity or two, and I was like, I like that one.
Yes.
That guy is hungry for something. And sure enough, he came through and he scored a couple goals for us. One of the things that really kind of stood out to me was some of the utility they got out of some of the players. I forget. I don't remember the name or even a number, but there was a dude on the Bucks who was just bigger than everyone out there.
Yes.
And with such a small pitch, like it was so weird for me to see a soccer player that large, because normally you see soccer players that are any sort of big, they play defense on full field or they play keep. And even then they stay rather slender. But to have somebody who looked almost like a linebacker on the field, like sometimes, like especially during the beginning of the game, I'm like, I don't know how effective he's going to be. Ventura Dominguez.
That's the one.
Ventura Dominguez. Thank you. I'll pull that one up for you right there. Thank you very much, Francesca. But then he got into the corners and nobody could touch the ball. Like nobody could move him. And I was like, having that ability to actually like hold down a corner and look and wait for your players to find open space. Now, what I'd personally like to see is I'd like to see the Bucks take advantage of his size in that way and see a little bit more movement in front of the goal and as a release up top for him when he's in that corner than I saw. A little bit more motion. I feel like when he got in those corners, the team got a little stagnant, kind of waited for the ball to come out.
Yes.
But that doesn't change the fact that what he was doing was incredibly effective in warding people off of the ball with his size. And that could really, you're going to need two people to get the ball from him in that situation. And if you're going to need two people to get the ball, that means someone's open, go find them.
Yes. Yeah, Ventura brings a lot of physicality to the game in an environment that I suspect doesn't utilize physicality in the way that the big game does. So, really interesting to see what the Bucks can get out of Ventura there. Big one for me. I mean, you know me, I always like my defensive-minded players. Ben Guido, number 5 on defense. You know, stopping a lot of shots there and then also finding great passes up the field, really great in transition. He would play that solid defense and then just like that, we're going the other way, and it's spearheaded by him quite a bit. So Ben Guido is a big pick for me.
As everybody can probably see, I'm a big hockey fan here, and one of the big things that you like in a defenseman is not only his ability to play defense, but a willingness to put your body on the line, and then after you do so, to immediately get back up, because as a defender, you're this in a 5v5, any 5v5 sport. When you're on defense, you are then expected to start the offense in the other direction once you've made your play. So yeah, the ability to put your body on the line, blocking some really scary hard shots for how small the goal is and how small the playing arena is. I would not want to be in the way of a few of those shots. But yeah, just the reckless abandon to throw your body in front of that shot, take it off the chest or the stomach or the face sometimes, get right back up, and with your head up, be finding that breakout pass to get the ball moving the other direction. Yeah, I thought he did a spectacular job of that.
Yeah, definitely. I would say, other than that, Alan Roque, he's our number 9. Scored a goal for us. I think he was quiet. Honestly, I think that we're going to see a lot more from Alan Roque. I think that's going to be a player to watch in the future. I mean, Tomas taking that early spotlight, and definitely like what we saw from him. But I'm really interested to see what Alan Roque can cook up, because this looks like a very interesting player, kind of hiding in the wings. And honestly, the same happened really for Manuel Lira in for Omaha. Definitely had a solid game, but there were moments, especially as Colorado came back, that we talked about how quiet he had been.
Didn't he get, like, their first 2 goals, and then after those we both were looking at each other like, yep, that's the dude we need to be watching. We knew that, and he's proving it. And then after that, he scored those 2 goals, and then we literally looked at each other and we were like, has he done anything?
Yes. Yeah. So super interesting for him as well. Coming out, he ended up scoring 3 goals in that game. But that was something that, I think that is going to be 2 players to really watch for in this next game. So the Bucks are on the road now. They travel to Omaha to play 2 games out there. It's going to be on Friday, December 29th, and then Saturday, December 30th, out there in Omaha. So really going to watch for Alan Roque and Manuel Lira to see what they can cook up here in the next couple of games. I think that Omaha is going to want to come back with a vengeance after we showed up to that first game. I think Omaha is going to be very dangerous to deal with,
especially at home in front of their home crowd for their home opener after winning the championship. That seems like a buzzsaw that we're about to walk into.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are really about to get a taste of what this league has to offer.
I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about their next matchup with Omaha. But before we start looking at the next game, I want to get to those clips you were talking about from the last game.
Yeah, let me pull those up. I'm going to share my screen here so you guys can see, because these moments were just awesome for us. So all right, we're good. There we are. So we had that goal that you were talking about, that kind of bike kick where, it was just over the head. It was an over the head volley that he was able to slot in that top corner. Not really a great angle on it from this camera perspective, but I want you to turn up your volume because I want you to listen for something just before this goal gets scored. You can see us in the background, by the way. So very blurry, but you'll see us in a sec. That's me in the gray hoodie, and that's Baylor in his Broncos orange. We were standing just about the entire time. So check out this goal.
That one intercepted. Joel. Laurel, I should say. Aviles now. Bustos. Down 7-2. Colorado trying to put the pressure on Afiro. Makes the grab there. And the save. Up ahead. Here comes Somali with the right footer. Off to the right. Rebounded. Ricochets. Aviles up ahead. Colorado. Back down the field. Leon. Attacking. Leon.
You can already see how quick
by Fierro.
Back and forth that goes.
On the turf, Colorado wants a whistle. Pressuring Omaha. Aviles, his shot to the left. Ricochets out. Thompson. Tough pressure from Omaha.
Here it comes.
Alcazar. And then that goal is in there.
I mean, absolutely incredible. Just he crosses this in and it goes
and then
over the top. Just hits it
out
as it comes across. So we're going to see this ball come in from the left. We're going to watch him just throw his foot up at it. And I just want you to watch again. After he makes contact with that ball, just listen for the crowd and see if you can hear, because it goes dead silent except for one comment. Listen for that.
Out Thompson. Tough pressure from Omaha. Alcazar. And then that goal is in.
What a shot. Could you hear it? Can you hear me? Baylor, can you? I lost some audio, I think.
Yeah, I think I heard you yell, "Oh."
That was me in the background going, "Oh!" Yeah. Because he hit that, and I stopped.
We saw it going up in the air. We're like, "Is that going in?" You went, "Oh!" It hits the net, and everyone lost it. I mean, if you can see, look at the score right there. It was 6 minutes and 34 seconds. This was now a 7-3 game, and by the end of this period, it was 8-7, I believe.
Yeah, something like that. And then I'm going to jump ahead here just so that we can actually jump into what this looks like.
Trying to bounce it out of there.
You took off at this moment to take a quick break.
I run to the bathroom.
Yeah, there's so ball comes in
as Omaha with control and kicks this one out of bounds over the bench.
Because the way that we end up finding these goals is in these set pieces. There's so many interesting ways that you can score because these set pieces are so lethal. So they brought in this goalie, really talented goalie. I like this goalie a lot more than the one they started with.
Duckweiler.
We couldn't beat him.
Jimenez and Roque. Roque, a left-footed shot and a goal.
And he just threw it down in that down corner. I think with this goalie, it's going to be able to beat him low quite a bit. So when we see him again, but I want you to see how this got set up, because this is the most interesting thing about what we want to see at this indoor level. The Bucks were struggling to win the ball quickly and to stop Omaha from doing what they want to do. We want to be able to disrupt what they're trying to do. We want to disrupt that game plan, especially on defense. When they were on the power play and we're down a man, we allowed them to do too much. They had way too many shots off of that power play. And this was a moment that I wanted to point out because it's super interesting the way that we set this whole play up. So the goalie gets it here. Okay, and we see him roll it out, right? And there's your big man that we talked about. Big physicality coming in. He's going to keep him in that corner. That's Ventura coming up there. So not allowing him to turn. That's the really big important thing here. Don't let him get out. Don't let him go up the field. So force him to go one way, and he forces him right back across. And then this was the massive play. This player, we were not pressuring like this up until this point. This was the first time that we saw actual pressure on their back line coming in off of their play. So
in hockey, we call that forecheck.
Yes. Yeah. The forecheck was real in this play. And so he gets the ball, and now all of a sudden he thinks, I've got no time. I have to get rid of this thing. I have to figure out what to do, because if I give it away right here, we're in a dangerous spot. So we force him to make a mistake, and he kicks it out. And because
First
Of
of all,
the-
you see that little piece of glass? Can you circle that
Oh.
little piece of glass? That's that. No, down right below it. That's
This one.
That's that tiny pane of glass that we were talking about.
That's so funny, dude. Yeah, so because of the way the game works at this indoor level, this would be a throw in here normally, right? Like you would come in and you'd maybe kick or throw it in from where the ball went out. No, their player kicked it out while he's standing in this zone. And so it goes out of bounds. And now we get a free kick right here at this spot. And this is where we can be lethal. There are a lot of goals that we saw coming off of these plays. And I think that a big strength of succeeding in this league is going to come from drawing up plays from these spots as we get these opportunities at these free kick markers. So causing the free kick in the first place, kick that ball out of bounds, and then we set up this free kick here and are able to take just a free shot. I don't actually know how it gets around the wall here. I think that this is definitely the wall's fault on Omaha's part, but he just slides it straight through and
It
into
almost
that
like
corner.
took that before they were fully ready, like the opposition. They
Yeah.
still looked like they were figuring out. It's almost like the keeper here realized there was a hole, and he was like, he does not look set right now. Look at him trying to fill the hole that he immediately shoots it into.
Yeah, you're exactly right
Actively
there.
trying to fill that hole that ends up getting exposed.
And I want to see how long from the time the whistle is blown to when this kicks.
Laurel.
The key in this game is how the ref runs it. That when that whistle blows, depending on the play, that ball is live. So they can come in and take it. On this one, he has to kick it.
Jimenez and Roke.
And he's up immediately kicking it. So definitely goalie should have been set there. Wall should have done a better job at blocking that shot. But that's where we wanted to beat him, was low, and we found that spot. So really fun stuff. And I love the fact that the league is doing these live plays. So if you want to watch the game in Omaha in a couple of weeks, you can come to the website and watch live.
Yeah, super, super fun stuff. I mean, probably not the best way to tell just from the few clips, but I do feel like, especially letting that first goal run for a little bit, just in that clip of maybe 90 seconds, you see two possessions for each team with two actual attempts towards the goal,
right,
for both teams. And yeah, that's exactly the nature of this game. This is the nature of the game that makes hockey so appealing to so many people. It's what makes basketball appealing to so many people. Man, we're Americans. We like our points. We like points on the board. That's why in football, touchdowns are 7 and field goals are 3 instead of 3 points and 1 point, respectively.
Right.
It would achieve the same thing, but we like to see a 35-28 game, not a 5-4 game.
Yes.
So, I think this league could actually do a lot, not just for for Colorado and the community and the Bucks as a whole, but for soccer as a whole, both in Colorado and across the country. If this is something that can get people into the sport and start to analyze things, there's definitely going to be some carryover of that into the actual game. Now, I'm not going to say by any means it's definitely not the same sport. It is absolutely a different sport. But hey, it could be a little gateway drug to the fix that we find in soccer,
Yeah, the fundamentals are there. And the really important thing is, because of these tight environments, they get really comfortable being under pressure and being in these small spaces. And in the normal game in soccer, it's a lot of big spaces. And so you see a lot more talent come out from players that are used to small environments transitioning into the big game, because when they feel that pressure in the middle of the field, they can actually get around it a lot easier. Fun fact for you, Brazil, the reason that they're so good is because their program across the country, you can't play the big game of soccer at a young age. You have to start with futsal, which is kind of similar to the indoor thing that we're seeing. I won't get into it too much, but futsal is this very small space, quick paced game. And because of that, because they train at that level for their entire childhood growing up and developing, once they transition to the big game, they're experts in small spaces. They're comfortable there. And so their footwork is incredible, and they can transition easily into the big game and start applying the same concepts to the big game. So definitely a sport to get into here is that indoor soccer league.
Yeah, one thing I definitely noticed about it is, in soccer, as a player, I was always taught, the ball moves faster after you've kicked it than running it. Don't if you can play the ball into space, even if it's to yourself, do it. That's you move faster without the ball, and the ball moves even faster without you. That's what you're always taught, and that concept still applies in this indoor league, but that space to play it into is almost never there.
Mm-hmm.
The difference with soccer is you pass to make your space. In this, a lot of times you have to beat a man to make your space. It's not pass, maybe beat a man and score. It's pass, beat a man, pass, beat a man, pass, lose the ball, beat him. Like it's a lot of foot skill. It's a lot of techers. It's a lot of the fancy stuff that you, like you said, you see out of those Brazilian players that really are, how do you say it? Like just like the ball foot. Like it feels like whatever it is they're imagining the ball is going to do with their foot, they can just make it happen. And that's almost a necessity to be successful in this league, because there isn't an option for a good passer who's bad with his feet to make it work. You need to be good on your feet. You got to have a great first touch, whether you're a defender, whether you're the goal. I mean, the goalie, the amount of pass backs that he gets and has to quick think like, hey, I can't pick this up and I have to find a clear. And the amount of times you see them just panic clear the ball into the cross beams into the ceiling, which is out of bounds, is it's crazy. You can see how much pressure these guys are under at all moments when they're on the field. It just creates such an incredible atmosphere.
Yeah. As you said that, it reminded me of the goalies on both sides that picked up the ball and just chucked it upfield just to have it absolutely swatted by the ceiling beams. So funny, dude.
Yeah, that is not something you're used to seeing in soccer, is the ball going into the air and getting spiked. And the amount of times that we saw a bar down not go in, but then go out of bounds because it was rocketed so hard off the top and down, it would bounce into the netting above the goal, like in the ceiling. I was like, damn, dude, that's some heat. Yes. But again, it creates another interesting set piece.
Yep.
And those set pieces, set piece from anywhere on the field could be dangerous.
Absolutely. And it's just like that different level of gameplay. Like I said, this Omaha team seems really used to playing at the indoor level. The Colorado Bucks seem to be adapting to it, adapting nicely, I will say. They adapted well in that game. So just another part of the environment that they have to get used to.
Yeah, and I think the players will definitely – I think the players will get a lot more comfortable once they feel like they have a home. I mean, I don't doubt that they feel like Colorado's their home, but like that's your first game. They didn't know what they were walking into, and honestly, there was a lot of Omaha fans there. I mean, that entire standing group next to us, I didn't realize was Omaha fans, because like they are so used to beating people. When they were up 5-0, none of them were even cheering.
Yeah.
But then towards the end of the game, when it was a 1-goal game and they scored that backbreaker to make it 2 goals again with only like 2 minutes left, and I realized that like 25 people to my left all stood up and cheered for Omaha, I was like, oh, I've been talking mad crap about your team for the last 45 minutes very loudly.
That was one of the funnier parts of the hype man. Every time he came out, he would run and he'd be like, Bucks fans, get loud. And, the side he started on, which is the Bucks side, everybody's cheering and everything. And he comes down the line and it like dies at the end of the line. And he kept going like, yo, what are you guys like? Why? They're all doing great. And
they were all Omaha fans.
Yeah, it's from the other team, bro. Funny.
But then that gave me a whole new set of respect when I found that out. I was like, those are Omaha fans out here?
Yep.
I was like, damn, we got travel crew.
Yes.
We got a travel crew for this team. The defending champions. Man, what a treat, though. What an absolute treat that was. I am so incredibly excited to be covering this team, bringing you guys all the content. for this team. I'm looking forward to talking with players, getting to know coaches and their styles. And I cannot tell you how excited I am to not only be a part of something so exciting, but also, to be doing it with my bro who's been my soccer buddy for the better part of the last 15 years. So, but do you have any closing thoughts on the Bucks? Maybe you want to talk a little bit about what you want to see from them in their next game on the road.
Yeah, so the thing I wanted to add onto that as far as the coverage goes, there's only 6 teams in this league, so it's going to make it really easy for us to dive in on a level that we just aren't going to be able to find the time to do with the Rapids. There's so many teams in the MLS that you can't really get into all of it. You have to just focus on your own club. But because of how little teams there are, we can really start to pick apart our opponents and see who we're competing against and really get into those styles like you were saying. Like, I want to see what these coaches bring. So it's going to be really exciting there. So, we travel on the road. We go to Omaha Friday, December 29th, and then Saturday the 30th. Saturday is going to be a morning game, so that'll be interesting. And then the 29th will be an evening game. Honestly, what I want to do is, first off, I want to watch the game coming up this Saturday, which is going to be Chicago versus Omaha. So we want to see more of Omaha and see what they're like. But then we also host Chicago next at their next home game. So both of these teams coming up on Saturday be really interesting to watch live. But then as we travel to Omaha and start to understand this team a little bit more, I think really just showing up with that professional mentality. Showing up and being that team and saying, yo, we're professional players in a professional league and we're going to act like it. Like, they've got to stroll in, chins up, like, not, can't have any loss of confidence in themselves as they go on the road and walk into that building and be able to show up against this team.
Probably be difficult for them in the small venue, but like on that professionalism, like once they walk into that building, they're at work.
Right.
I'm not going to say that I'm a professional athlete by any means, but when I walk in and when I clock in at my job, I'm a professional. And the place that I work, my family and friends and stuff, they come to it frequently. I see people I know multiple times a month, multiple times a week that I know at my job. Of course I say hi. Sure, I'll like nod my head or like wave to them, but at the same time, I'm on the clock. I'm getting paid to be there. I want I don't want, not necessarily, not because I'm like trying to give off an appearance or anything, but because I'm in a mode. I'm in work mode. I'm in a focus. I've got 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours left on this shift. I've got to be in a mindset. And I'm sure the home opener for your first ever game for a brand new franchise in the second year of a brand new league. I mean, we're an infant franchise in an infant league. And, I feel like it might be difficult for some of these players to really have that mindset of, when I think of a hockey, football, or basketball players walking into their job, they're in their suits. They've got their headphones on. They're like almost like horse blinders on. They're like going to their locker room. They're ready for business. And it's not until that final whistle blows, then they'll go find their family and be like, oh, hey, how's it going? Like, oh, that was a good game. Or like, oh, tough loss. Yeah, whatever. Like, but like in the middle of the game or like halftime or something, like, it's a little disheartening when you're sitting there as a fan of this team and you see your team is down 6-2 at halftime and your players are stopping to talk to their family on the way to their locker room at halftime. And I'm like, dude, you got plenty to talk about in there. Get going, that's something I'd like to see because that's just something you expect to see from a professional franchise. But again, it's brand new league, brand new team. Obviously lots of stuff to work on, but I don't think I would be doing my part as a fan if I didn't let this new franchise just kind of, just see what we're seeing as fans too, and definitely down 6-2. I want to see those guys going into the locker room upset, wanting to fix it. I don't want them coming out small talking,
Yes, and the word you used was focus. There, focus is the biggest thing. If you're going to travel on the road into this stadium of the defending champs, you need to be focused. If you're going to have any kind of result out there, you need to be focused. Put the family and friends aside. Tell them you'll see them after the game, and be in that moment, ready to play, focused on the objective at hand, because you're going to have some work to do over these next couple of games. And if they can show up and play like they did, in their home opener, then I think that we're going to start to see, a lot of things that they can adapt to as far as what Omaha brings. Like I said, I think Omaha is going to come in with a vengeance, because I don't think that they were really expecting us to pull out the stops like that in our game. And so I think that they want to come back and show us what's up. And so, at least one of these games, I'd like it if they kept it close. I'm not going out there expecting you guys to get a win on the road. Honestly,
A win on the road, home opener for the defending champions.
yeah, like 2 games out there, even on that second game, as things start to settle in a little bit, go out there and focus. Learn what this environment is like. Learn what these players are like. Because if you want to go anywhere in this league, Omaha is the team to beat right now. So this is the time to have your eyes wide open, your ears tuned in, so that you can be looking at and breaking down everything that you need to know about this team. Go out there and learn what you can. That's what I want to see.
Well, yeah, and like you said, not just from I know you were probably speaking about this in a broad sense, but I do want to specify that not just from a fan's perspective, it's going to be easy to keep tabs on every single one of these teams. There's no reason, even for this first game, obviously it's probably a little different because this is your first game, right? But from here on out, there is absolutely zero reason this team shouldn't come in understanding what the other team is going to try to do, because there is only 5 other teams in the league for you to scout. Yeah. And there's no reason you shouldn't. The thing is, like you said, we're going to play, we're playing Omaha again. Well, you've already scouted them for the first game. Now you've got a whole nother week to scout them. You got a whole nother week after that to scout them again. And by the time you're at that third game, it's not just you've seen them twice. You've seen them every day, probably for 3 weeks, whether it's on film or on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So, it'll be really interesting to see as the season progresses how these battles and how these head-to-head matchups start to evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, our opportunities. So the schedule's really interesting because Omaha started at the same time as us. I mean, that was the opener. Omaha plays until the end of the season, late March, early April. Our final game is early March. We have almost an entire month, actually over a month, because March 2nd is our game. April 7th is the final game before, the league ends. And on top of that, the last time we're going to see Omaha is February 3rd. And we're going to have 4 more games after that. So we get 3 opportunities to do what we can against them. It's these 2 coming up. We're going to see them one more time at home before that's it. And then we've got to figure out what's going on with the rest of the league for our season. So definitely want to come out and, make an early impression.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I honestly, what better way? I mean, it sounds like a brutal way to start off as a brand new franchise playing against the defending champions so much, but man, trial by fire. You're going to have to, if you want to win this league, you're going to have to figure out a way to beat that team. I'd rather know what we're up against right off the bat than find out after we've strung together a couple good games and then get absolutely beat down by the best. I'd rather start out. That's almost what I felt like. They came out and the Bucks got beat down in that first half. They got absolutely dominated on both ends of the pitch. And I think at halftime, they were just like, okay, we know what this is about now. And now we know how we need to play to be successful in this league. And because that's the best. That's the best this league had to offer last year. And it came down to it, man. That was a 1-goal game in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
That was anybody's game after you dug yourself a hole. So if you come out with that same intensity you did that second half, there's no way this shouldn't be a close game all the way down. I'm not saying like a 1-goal game, but there's no way this should at any point be a game where halfway or 3/4 of the way through you're like, this thing's over.
Right. Yeah, absolutely agree. Should be
Super excited to get this going. Alex and I will definitely work on a date to solidify. We'll try to do a weekly show on the same day at the same time once we kind of work on our schedules. Probably be a little easier come the new year once holidays are over. But we'll be sure to let you know. But we do want to let you know that this podcast, this show, the Club and Country, is, while today was majority Bucks and will continue to be Bucks while we're in the MLS off season, we are also going to be covering the Rapids and the MLS here, as Colorado Sports Connection doesn't have any sort of soccer. We'll take care of them both right here. And you may be asking me why we are going to cover the MLS in the middle of, what is this, the end of December, like right after the season has ended and the Rapids have been eliminated for months and months on end.
Yep.
Well, that is because the MLS schedule released today. And now this was a big deal for me because if you're any sort of soccer fan in Colorado, you have been waiting for this day. And I'll tell you why if you really don't know. On the schedule for this year was Miami. And we didn't know if that would be a home or away game. And if it was a home game, there's a chance that Lionel Messi would be playing at the Richard, which we lovingly refer to Dick's Sporting Goods Park as. So yeah, Lionel Messi will not be in Colorado this year, as Miami will be hosting the Rapids this year. But that is kind of the big key piece that I really cared about. But with that being said, let's talk about some of those out of conference games that we're getting. And you want to actually, Alex, you wanted to just describe how the schedule works for MLS?
Sure. So every season, there's the Western Conference, there's the Eastern Conference, right? And the Western Conference, you tend to play a home and an away game against the Western Conference teams. You're going to play every single team home and away. And then you play Eastern teams. And those Eastern teams, it's not like the NFL where it's like, oh, this year we're playing the NFC North, right? It's not like that. The Eastern teams are on this rotation based on how long it's been since you've played them. So you tend to see Eastern teams every couple of years, actually. So we have, make sure that covers it. There are some Western teams that you're going to see 3 times. And most of the time, those are rival teams. So we like rivalries in soccer, and you want to get that best of 3 series going on over the course of the league. Notably for little trophies that are passed between clubs. We'll get into that in a moment because we do want to talk about the Rocky Mountain Cup. But that is basically how the schedule works. You're going to see mostly Western teams. You're going to see Eastern teams. You host Eastern teams, and you also travel to Eastern teams.
Do you host to travel to? Is that what it is?
As far as Eastern team?
Yeah.
So, like for example, with Miami, like we're traveling to them, but we're not hosting them. So,
well, I mean, but we play 4 Eastern teams, 2 of which we visit, 2 of which we host, but 4 different teams.
I think it's 8 because we're hosting 4 Eastern teams, and I think we travel to another 4. But I don't think that there's like a line really that gets drawn as to how that works. It really comes down to. Yeah, like I think we're only traveling to 3. It looks like we travel to Miami, we travel to New York City FC, and then we travel to, I just saw them. Another Eastern team. I lost them, but Yeah. So, I don't know the exact format. It is not as simple of a format as it is with other leagues, but that's the gist. Oh, Cincinnati. We're going to go to Cincinnati.
Now I will say as well with the MLS, it's we're big fans of the MLS. We understand it's not the most popular league in not only Colorado but in the country. But recently I'm sure you can't be a sports fan without, or just being a person in United States without hearing about Lionel Messi coming over. We got players like Insigne from the Italy league. We've got people like last year, Alex and I made a point to go see Chiellini play. And we've got a lot of these really big European soccer players that are starting to come over, still late in their careers, but not like retirement home for sports players age. Like we're not getting a bunch of Tom Brady aged people anymore. We're getting guys still in their 30s who can more than compete at the MLS level. And you're getting to see that world-class talent, and you're seeing not only popularity in fans rise, you're seeing a lot of popularity among other players rise. The MLS is slowly being viewed as it's always been a stepping stone league, but it's been one of the first stepping stones. But now it's starting to work its way more into the middle, where kind of we're getting to retain a little bit more talent here. Not all of it immediately gets shipped off to the European countries as soon as they show potential. And another big a big thing in Colorado specific MLS terms is the Colorado Rapids have a new coach, and I would love to hear your thoughts on that, Alex, because I don't think I've even talked to you personally about the coaching hire that they've made.
Yeah, for me, actually, not a whole lot to jump into right off the bat. Great impression, really. But I don't know much about the guy. I'm pretty sure he was in New York Red Bull. Coaching. I think he was like an assistant with Man U. Like he wasn't ever a head coach in any big areas. So he's this guy who's coming in who's definitely got experience, and he definitely seems like he knows what he's talking about. So, and I'm all for it. I mean, I loved Robin Fraser. I did, but after a few years of not seeing what we saw in that first year from him, like something's got to change. And I could tell that the front office was doing what they needed to with players. They were moving players around and trying new things. And we just weren't finding that same level of newness on the field. So really want to see what this new coach brings out. And right now, for me, it's a wild card. I'm just going to show up and I'm just going to be that fan again. I'm not going to be hypercritical about anything. I'm just going to enjoy the experience and see what Coach Chris Armas has to bring to us.
Yeah, so for me, I really like who the Rapids are, and it's not the big spendy team. It is not an LA or a Miami or anything like that is going to just go woo players with their stacks of cash. Colorado Rapids, as far as I'm aware, as far as I've been following them, outside of maybe when we had like Jermaine Jones and Tim Howard, they're a team that home grows, finds talent in other MLS teams' systems, and brings them in and gives them field opportunity. Mm-hmm. The amount of players that I have fallen in love with that are Rapids that leave after they have a good year or two because they get picked up by some European club or sent out on loan or something like that, it always blows me away. But that also leads you to kind of getting almost a new team every year, it feels like. I feel like every year the Rapids have an extremely high amount of turnover. And even if they do get people, like Jack Price was the captain for what, 2 years?
Yeah, he's been around, I think, a little bit longer than that. But
he's been captain, right, for 2 years?
It's good. It's a good estimate.
I think he was the captain for about 2 years. I thought he was a great captain. He was great on set pieces, was really unfortunately injured, hung up with multiple injuries this last season, was a free agent. Rapids offered him some money, and he left because he said it was disrespectful how little they offered him. Jack Price is not a big name player, but he was asking for more money than the Rapids are trying to invest in a club right now. When they fired Robin Fraser midseason last year, I remember specifically telling you Robin wasn't the problem. If I don't mind them firing Robin, so long as there is wholesale changes in the offseason. And that's what we've seen. We've seen lots of player movement. We've seen lots of staff movement. We've seen so much going on. Almost like there's like, almost seems like the marketing is almost trying to like rebrand themselves as a new year, new us type of, like new coach, new us type of feel, you know, like gone are the Robin Fraser Rapids, everything from that Thanksgiving Day loss to the Timbers in the playoffs to, you know, having a terrible season last year. It's all in the past. This is the new Rapids. And that's something I feel like we get every 2 years with this team. And I think it's kind of fun because you can go from being a terrible team to winning the West and then back to a terrible team all in a 3-year span.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I did look it up. Yeah, Price joined us in 2018, started the 2018 season with us, took over as captain once Tim Howard left, which was in 2020, 2019, really. But 2020 is really when Price and Robin Fraser came in. Robin Fraser came in and started with that MLS is Back tournament in the COVID lockdown. And that's where we got that first impression of him as a coach and that new style of play with the team. And yeah, you know, definitely liked that era, and now things are getting switched up, and so it is fun. It's difficult to find players that, you know, we can really latch on to. I think that we got a lot more of that under Pablo Mastroeni when we first started watching. We really were able to fall in love with players a lot easier,
and
they would stick around.
You know, we'd see them every day for every week for 4 years.
Yeah, and like they were heroes. Like that was the style. Is like, you know, it was scrappy, but like Skelton's Gashi could score a wicked goal, and then bam, like that's the guy.
That 89th second set piece from Gashi who gets the goal of the year on it. Or
right.
I forget his name. You know his name. He went to that Lifetime Fitness all the time. We had a nickname for him that I am not going to say on air, but do you know who I'm talking about?
No, I forgot.
Tall dude with long hair would always come in last second for a header or something in the like closing minutes to get us a draw or a win out of a draw. We had we had a nickname for him. I'm not going to say it, but yeah, we ended up rooting for him, and he was a super sub. Every time he came on the field when we were down or tied, we'd be like, oh, here he comes. He's coming to save the day. And then you just fall in love with that player, because even if he does it 3 or 4 times out of 10, like having one player come in and score a last-minute goal 4 times in a season is unreal. So, but like,
Alan Gordon,
there's the one. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's funny, dude. That's funny. I forgot about that. Every once in a while, he just like returns to my memory, and I go, ah. So, yeah, no, you know, really fun to watch this team, and you know, like you said earlier, a lot of young talent right now. We have young talent. We saw that in the final game. So Robin Fraser was fired mid-season, so we got Chris Little that took over as interim head coach. And Chris used that opportunity of us being eliminated from the playoffs to bring in some of that younger talent. And that final game against Real Salt Lake was some of the best soccer, like fundamentally, that we've seen all season, or really maybe even the last couple of years, you know, since that Thanksgiving Day loss. That was the kind of fire that we really wanted to see. So that's where I'm like, hey, I'm just going to show up and enjoy myself here, because young team, young talent, new coach, you know, this is going to be really interesting to watch. We did make a trade already. Have you heard about this with Chicago?
I feel like I saw. Yes, I did. I saw it. I saw that on Twitter in passing on my lunch break today. Go ahead and break that one down for us.
So this is a left back trade, as far as what I've heard. We gave away Andrew Gutman. I don't remember seeing much of it. I know we've seen him play, but you know, what kind of impact? Like I don't remember seeing much from him. And in return, we're getting Miguel Navarro from the Chicago Fire. I looked a little bit into Miguel Navarro. And as far as stats go, I don't have anything to say much, but we know that doesn't tell the full picture. So this
So
is a player that I really want to see get into work right away, because I want to see what kind of impact this guy has on the game. I think he's a more defensive minded player. I know I said left back and like, duh, that's defense, but those guys transition into attack a lot. I think this is going to be a more defensive left back than we typically see in some wing backs. So maybe Chris Armas is starting to build that solid defense and building our attackers forward and letting those guys do the work up top.
As far as the comment on the trade, when it comes to, I'm gonna kind of pull from my other sports knowledge here for this one. Generally, when you get a 1-for-1 position trade in almost any sport, that's a change of scenery trade. That's a, hey guys, like, I know this dude doesn't look good based on his stats, but like, we legitimately believe in this guy. We just don't think it's going to work for him here.
Yes.
Which happens all the time. And almost all the time, other play, like, not all the time, but if there is a team that is in the same situation, they're like, hey, we have this same guy. Do you want to do a flipperoo? And that's a lot of times what happened. That's something that Matt and I have said we need to do with Jerry Jeudy. Like, Jerry Jeudy is clearly a good football player. He's open all the time, but how can you even think about catching a ball when you know the entire city of Denver is going to absolutely berate you if you don't catch a ball?
Yeah.
Like, get him in a new city and I'm sure he'll be fine. Change of scenery trades are very important. The Avalanche did that in their cup run with Tyson Jost and Nico Sturm with the Wild. Literally third line center for third line center, almost identical stat lines, almost identical play time, just hoping to get a little bit more out of that position with a 1-for-1 swap. But those are always exciting because a trade in a new city can really rejuvenate a professional athlete that's just kind of gotten into a system. Think about it like a promotion or a lateral move to a different department at your day job. There's that period of time where it's like, we call it like the honeymoon phase at a job or a relationship, where everything just seems great. And that mindset shift can really be beneficial for professional athletes. It's a hard reset for them a lot of times.
Yeah, and I think really the big thing to keep an eye for this season is Chris Armas finding that identity. So in soccer, it's that identity, that style of play. And I know that's any sport, but tactics wise, like Chris is coming in and bringing this. We're in a rebuild phase, right? I mean, the Rapids said it themselves, like, hey, we've kind of lost our identity a bit, but we don't really know what that is right now. They said that. They said, hey, we don't even know if we want to go back to what it was. Like, maybe we find something new. And so Chris Armas seems to be spearheading that vision right now. And so, yeah, that 1-for-1 swap, we did get $450K extra on top of that. So good job, Parg Smith. But, this is going to be something that's like, how does this Navarro guy fit into our style of play and this identity that Chris Armas is going to try to establish here?
Yeah, identity is huge, like you said, in any sport. Definitely a term they use a lot more in soccer than a few other sports. But what you do find is having a unified vision and direction, usually spearheaded by your coach in any sport, is the basis of every single successful team. Something that Matt and I talk about every week on our Broncos episode is, we all know what the Broncos identity should be, but they often don't play into it. They are a run first, punch you in the mouth team. And every time we come out trying to play like high fly football, we get our asses kicked. And that's something you see in every single sport. The Avs are struggling right now, and we just heard Devon Taves yesterday and Jared Bednar today on the radio talk about it and say, we have an identity. And Devon Taves said everyone in this room is working towards one goal, and we're all doing the same thing except for 6 players. But you can't have that many people pulling the wrong way on the rope.
Yeah.
Everybody has to be pulling the same direction for anything to be successful. And definitely in around the time we lost Robin Fraser and the time leading up to that, there was zero identity. It was just go out there and kick the ball around. Like what is our plan? Is our plan to lock these guys up and counterattack? Was our plan to high pressure them? Was our plan to play for a draw? Like what's our plan? There never seemed to be a plan. It always seemed like we were reacting to the other team's plan instead of imposing our own plan on them.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, you saw the effect on the fans. I mean, when it came to,
I didn't want to go to games.
yeah,
I didn't want to go. And I told them, I've been with you. And at games, I was with you many times. And I said, dude, I've been coming to Rapids losses for 5 years, and I've still enjoyed the product. I am not enjoying this product. I mean, there was a stretch where we didn't score a goal for like 4 games.
Yeah. Yeah, it was bad. It was a bad season, and you know, I tend to lean on the optimistic side of things, and I tend to be kind of forgiving. But like, dude, C38, like, you know, they walked out on games. They had you know, their banners saying that the fans, the players deserve better. And you know, for me, I think that was a little harsh, but also I think that they needed, you know, to get that out. They needed to say that because you know, there have been some fun years recently, but what has it amounted to? You know,
nothing since 1996.
The last time that we won a championship was 2010, and like
it was 2010.
2010, we started in 96. 2010 was when we got the
win. So yeah, nothing for 13 years.
Yeah, so that's where it's like, hey, you know, this is fun. Hey, we got Tim Howard. Ooh, you know, but like, what did we do with it?
Ooh, we lost to the Sounders.
You know, we still can't beat Seattle. So
cool. We have the best American goalie that's ever walked to the earth, and we still got beamed by Bullcut and his flopping. Oh my God, that was the most frustrating game I've ever attended.
I know, I know, dude. Classic. So, and I've said it to you before, but quick note: the LAFC traveling to Seattle in the playoffs this season, and beating them, going up. They went up a goal early, and then started to spend the rest of the game. It was like 25 minutes in that they scored, and they started to spend the rest of the game flopping around and wasting time. And these Seattle fans were all, boo, like, you guys suck. Like, this sucks, dude.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That was us 6 years ago. Thanks.
Yeah. Wonder how everybody else in the league feels when you guys do that all the time. Yeah.
Literally every single year with your Clint Dempsey led bull.
Yeah, dude. Not a fun time. Actually, and fun news for us. Big win is the fact that a lot of those players are not going to be playing anymore. This was like a last dance season for Seattle, and so they're going to be in a bit of a, you know, identity shift as well. We'll see, you know, how they do. Interesting to watch.
The only game I can think of about Portland was the one 2 seasons ago on Thanksgiving Day, and that was the second round of the playoffs because we had a first round bye after winning the West on decision day. So I believe there was not been any sort of championship play from these Rapids in the 5 years I've been 6 years, 7 years, 7 years as a season ticket member. I've never seen any sort of championship game for the Rapids. That Portland game, if I'm not mistaken, was the Thanksgiving Day second round playoff game.
Yeah, most likely what he's referring to there, because that was like big on the news. I mean, it was MLS's first Thanksgiving Day game ever. We were the number 1 seed, so we were champions of the West. So I'm sure a lot of headlines use that word in that context. But yeah,
Western Conference, regular season champions.
Yeah, right. Like we were top of the table, and in European soccer, that's, if you're top of the table, you won. You're the champion. They don't have playoffs over there. We have playoffs over here because we're in America, baby. We like our playoffs. We like those single bracket elimination games.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Give me that all or nothing. Give me that all or nothing.
Exactly, dude.
It's all about parody. That's what Americans love. They love parody. It's not even the one-off. It's the fact that anything could happen. In the EPL, it doesn't matter because most of the time 2-3 games left who's won because
Right.
there's no playoff. But that's why everyone loves Champions League because it's bracket style. That's why it's the big deal. And we're like, why would you only do that once a year with all of these teams that only some of them apply for? Nah, dude, every year half the teams go. American sports.
Yeah, dude. Now, speaking of Portland, I mean, back to the Rapid schedule here. Portland is our opening game. We travel to Portland to play at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So that'll be in Providence Park, February 24th. What did you say there, Baylor?
What time? What day is that?
February 24th. Yeah. I assume that's a Saturday. So Portland is going to be our first game. Then we come back home and have our home opener, our second game of the season against Nashville, an Eastern team that we don't see a lot of. So this is going to be a really interesting start, and that's going to be on the 2nd of March. Now, Baylor, we went to a March game early season a couple years ago against Portland. Do you remember what the conditions of that game was?
Yeah, dude, wasn't it the game where they were like shoveling lines on the snow at every out of bounds call?
Yep.
Because that was like a sideways blizzard. It hurt to look in one direction of the field because the wind was like blowing the snow 90 degrees to the ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2019, I think it was a home opener against Portland. We had a last minute equalizer. We tied at that game. That was Shinya Shiki with the tying goal, and the place went ballistic for all 100 people that were still in the stands by the end of that game. But early season soccer in Colorado for the MLS is a lot of fun because that weather really comes in for us. I mean, we are that mountain town team, and that snow, comes in full force. So that is going to be something that hoping to see against Nashville on March 2nd, coming up 2024. Now, I do want to jump into Real Salt Lake. I mentioned earlier the Open Cup. There are rivalries in the MLS, between clubs, and they some of them have their own trophies, their own cups that they've designed and made and pass between supporters. So our supporters are in league with Real Salt Lake supporters, and we transport the not the Open Cup, the Rocky Mountain Cup.
Definitely not in the hands of the supporters.
The Rocky Mountain Cup.
You never see that again after your team loses. They'd be out of that building with the cup so far gone.
Run away. And actually remind me about the Open Cup. Interesting news on that coming in today as well. So Real Salt Lake in Colorado, it is the Rocky Mountain Cup. We are fighting for each side of the Rocky Mountains. That's the premise behind it. So our first game, it's the best. The way they do it's the best of the regular season games that we meet. Last season, we did see them in the Open Cup. I don't remember if that counted. I don't think it did. Regular season is what's supposed to count. Even if the Open Cup did count, didn't help us at all. We still lost. So Rocky Mountain Cup has been in their hands for years. So right now, the biggest goal for the Rapids, if we can't get to the playoffs, yada, 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 we want that Rocky Mountain Cup back. That's the big one that we're looking out for. So the Real Salt Lake game, our third game of the season, it's going to be in Salt Lake, March 9th at 7:30. And then the next time we see them is going to be in May in Salt Lake again. So our 3-game series, the first 2 are on the road, and we don't see them at home.
So you're telling me if we can split that, we're looking good for the cup this year?
Yeah, potentially. I mean,
get a split, bring it home for the win. Bring it home.
It's
coming home.
The home Salt Lake game will be July 20th at 7:30. So big thing to watch for that. And again, not sure how Open Cup plays in, but it's possible we see them again because can we just go steal it? No, we cannot go steal the Open Cup, but it is a good idea, or the Rocky Mountain Cup. It is a great idea. That was a funny one. Caught my eye there.
Sometimes it feels like they deserve to have it stolen from them.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. The only saving grace that Real has right now is the fact that they're coached by Pablo Mascherani, and we love that guy. He's awesome.
He's a Rapids hero.
Yeah, Rapids hero. He's on
Played
our
for us-
Ring of
played
Fame.
for us during our win and longtime coach.
Yeah, he's on the Ring of Fame at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. We love that dude, and we root for his success over there in Salt Lake. The Open Cup. So that is our MLS tournament. Not MLS, sorry. It's all American soccer comes together and competes, and so
all professional and semi-professional levels, correct?
I think so. I don't know how deep it goes, but it's very much like the English, FA Cup, where people start at these very low levels, and like the top teams, we don't even see them until the later rounds. Same deal with MLS, and there was talk this season about MLS teams putting in their MLS Next Pro teams.
Yeah, they're gonna do that. They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it.
It's not going to happen because U.S. Soccer, I think today, ruled no, you cannot do that. It's going to be MLS teams in the cup.
I thought this was going to be a joke tournament.
Yeah, and that was the thing. It was like, I get it, right? It's always an MLS team.
Soccer is all about the extra competitions, though.
Yeah.
At every big league, it's not just the league. You've got FA Cup games, you got Carabao Cup games, you've got Champions League games, you've got all these different cups and leagues and stuff you're playing in with your club, not your secondaries, not your whatever's, your club. It's your team.
Yeah, and the big thing for me was like, when the MLS plays against these USL teams, which is that next level, which goes hand in hand with this question, when they play them, the competition level is so different. Most of the time we beat them. However, FC Cincinnati is the sole reason, if you have one argument against MLS teams not being in it and saying, hey, no, they absolutely should, FC Cincinnati was a USL team. They were at that lower level. They're not in the top league, and they consistently dominated in the Open Cup. They went deep into those tournaments several years in a row until they finally won the thing a few years ago, and then that was the catalyst they needed to get them into the MLS as an expansion team. So to this question here, can MLS teams be relegated? The answer is no. So when I talk about FC Cincinnati being at this lower level, they weren't promoted up into the MLS. They were just signed on as an expansion team, just like any of these other expansion teams.
That's something I want to bring up too, real quickly. When it comes to MLS expansion, there's so many lower level teams now. Colorado Springs has a USL team, the Colorado Switchbacks, if I believe, right? They're at that level.
Colorado Switchbacks FC.
Yeah, Colorado Switchbacks FC. They play in the Springs. They're at that USL level. There are so many soccer teams at the step below the MLS, and the MLS is not an NFL. The MLS is not an NHL. These are not the top 1% of 1% players. They're definitely the top 1%, but they are not the 1% of the 1%. That's what you're going to find in Europe, right? So the difference between those leagues is not huge, as we saw with Cincinnati, but it is sizable. And because there's so many of these smaller clubs that are already established with stadiums, with followings, with all of this, instead of them going the NHL or NFL route where they literally just poof, now this team that never had an arena, never had a following, all of a sudden is drafting they're pulling players from other teams. They have a brand new arena that was just built for them, and everyone's fans are bandwagoners because, the team didn't exist. And they're just like, cool, there's a team here. I'm a fan now. These are majority teams that have fan bases already. They have teams, they have players. They just step in and play. It's different than a normal than another major league expansion team. These are existing clubs that are given the invitation into it. the invitation into that step up. It's not something you earn. It's an invitation that is given to you when the league is ready to expand. RSL. No, it's too late if we're not playing till then. Get yourself a Sounders game, maybe.
Sounders is a good option. My number one pick, if you live in the state of Colorado and you're not doing anything on July 4th, you gotta get yourself a ticket to the Rapids July 4th experience, my dude.
Just so you know, Dick's Sporting Goods Park on the 4th of July puts on the largest public firework display in the state of Colorado. It is a 20 to 25 minute show. They let you onto the field and they shoot it off right over the big scoreboard, and you are right underneath them. It is super cool. It's super fun. It's a great family atmosphere. So if you got kids, that is a wonderful place to take your kids. There's plenty of space. The kids love going onto the field. Dick's Sporting Goods is an intimate venue. There are no bad seats. Everywhere you're at, you're right on top of the action. If you don't mind waiting until July for a game to go to, man, get tickets to that game. But yeah, if you're looking for an early season game to get into, Alex was saying some of those rivalry games in soccer are really fun because you see those supporters really turn out for those rivalry games.
Yep. We host for July 4th, we host Sporting Kansas City. It's one of our biggest rivals besides Real Salt Lake.
So Real Salt Lake, Seattle Sounders, Sporting Kansas City. Who else we got for big rivals?
I mean, if you rank it, it's like Real Salt Lake because of the Rocky Mountain Cup.
Yes. No, absolutely.
And then it's Kansas City because they're our neighbors. The only reason Seattle's up there is because they've been so dominant. It's like the Broncos and the Patriots. Are they rivals now? I don't think so, right? It was just because they were so good and we were able to match them, right? So Seattle and all those LAFC. So LAFC comes to town early. That's an early game to go to. March 30th would be a good one. Honestly, the way that they structure it, though, it's like a lot of those Western teams are all rivals because of how important every game is. There's no divisions within the Western Conference.
Yeah.
You're in there and every single team matters. We definitely don't see it get as heated with teams like Vancouver, which, by the way, as of this morning, Vancouver versus Colorado in Vancouver was scheduled for 5 a.m. Mountain Time, 4 a.m. Vancouver time. The time now says TBD. Typo. It now says TBD.
And somebody somewhere looked at it and be like, when was this game supposed to be? I don't know, man. I could go look through the whole thing. Just put a TBD on there, but we know it ain't 5 a.m.
Yep. So that was the big one I was watching today. It is finally TBD. Teams like that, we don't really see it get as heated with. A recent rival that has kind of come up was Austin FC. They've regularly showed up to our stadium and put on a show, and we don't like that. We like to defend our home turf, and we struggle to do that against Austin. So any of those Western Conference games, absolutely, if you can make the July 4th game, go to that. But then also throughout the season, they do other firework games. So keep an eye out for when they announce those, because if you can't make it on the 4th, you can go see the same fireworks.
They do 2 or 3 a year, right?
Yeah. Usually at 3. At least.
Yeah, and they're all the same. It's not, probably different music, but it's a full show. It is not a skimp. And if you get rained out, they make it up.
I was just looking at our history with Austin. The first time we beat them was September 30th this year. So everything else has been a tie, which doesn't feel entirely accurate. I feel like there were more games. Oh, that's the last 3 matches. It's fine. I'll go deeper into that at some point. But yeah, a lot of good options, plenty of games to go to. So definitely a good experience. Good time to go.
Alrighty. Well, we are an hour, 25 minutes deep into this one. I am totally happy going long for the first Club and Country stream. I really had a good time doing this show with you, Alex. I'm looking forward to covering the Bucks and the Rapids on this site moving forward. Like I said, go ahead and stay tuned, and we'll let you know When we do come up with a solid date and time, we'll let you know. If not, just stay tuned to social media, and we'll be sure to keep you guys tuned in into what we're up to and when we're going to have our shows coming out. But you can pretty much expect on one, at least through this winter, every few days, every week, a few days after a Bucks game is a good time to expect an episode there. But that's going to be the end of this show. Thank you all so much for tuning in and checking out Colorado Sports Connection. Make sure you head over to willowseasonings.com, as they are the official sponsor of Colorado Sports Connection. Make sure you use that code in the little banner at the bottom for your discount. And make sure to keep it all right here for all your Colorado sports. And thank you again, Alex, for hopping on, and looking forward to seeing more of you.
Sure thing. I'm excited for the next one.
Yeah. All right, guys, take it easy.